Okay. Okay. So this does not have to do with what I'm talking about today, but I'm going to share it. So um, I usually have a theme or something that uh, I can center what I'm going to share around. But this week, I think what I had was very similar to something I've done before. And instead of beating it into the ground, I'll pivot. This week, I want to talk about, and I'd like you to reflect on what are the things that you use for healing? What are the things that you use to maintain your balance or to bring you back to balance if maybe you feel like you're out of balance? Um, and I ask that because I think sometimes when we think about healing, if it's religious, it's got to be a very big thing. Um, Sometimes if it's spiritual or cultural, it's got to be a very big thing uh, because we're taught that what we need is outside of us. Uh, And we're also taught that what we need should be purchased. So it has to be magnificent. It has to be so big. It has to be something you could never do on your own. So I want to look at the things that I use that are very healing and that I have used for years that are healing. So even as I say that, I have an Unakite heart in my hand. I mean, it's really a heart. Like it's not like it's a heart for real. Look at that. Ventricles, everything. And then I have a ruby fuchsite. So because there's a sister friend here who does uh she has a shop with stones, 7 stones, and um she was reminding us that this was the equinox and to carry pink and green stones. So those are my pocket for the day. But that is not what I wanted to talk about that I use for healing. So it came up a few times and I was like, I'll share about this. I love the book Like Water for Chocolate. I also like the Common album Like Water for Chocolate. And HBO has revamped Like Water for Chocolate in a series. And so in that series, the story is being told through the recipe book and journal of Tita. So I was like, okay, a journal. And I was blessed to go to a sister's baby shower. And talking to her, I was like, make sure you document, what you're doing, how your birth story in whatever way you document. But for me, it was documented in my journal. And you see me sit down every day with a little brown book, and sometimes I unwrap it and I open it up and go to wherever I am in this book. But I have been journaling. I told people I have been journaling since I was 12. That's not true. I have been journaling since at least the age of 10 and likely before then. So this is a page, and I remember just what this journal looked like. This is a page, look how little it is. A page from my journal when I was 10 years old. 10 years old. And so many things about this. Uh, I think I was entering my super Christian phase. And so for a while, I had been writing Dear Diary, but I started writing Dear Lord. And here, it's just the opportunity to just see my shifts, my developing understanding, um, to be able to look at things and say, I'm not crazy. This is how I understood it when it first happened, those kind of things. Or to marvel, gratitude, and being able to look back. This one little piece of paper from 10 years old has two very different things on either side. One is talking about my crush on you edition. It goes through all of them. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. I don't know. Oh, Johnny. Bobby wasn't in here then. So Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, Ralph and Johnny too. That's how that goes. So I talk about them. Um, I think I wrote down the address for their fan club. Talked about crushing on them. But the other side of this um, actually talks about when my mommy's daddy passed, Pop Pop. That's what I call him, when he transitioned. And so many things are interesting. One, to be able to see my 10-year-old self observing my losing my grandfather, but my mother losing her dad, and what I wrote about that, and my reflections on the possibility, I mean, the certainty in the future that my parents would transition as well. Amazing. The other amazing thing is the date that my uh, pop transitioned is the same date that my eldest daughter was born, right? So it's so amazing. It's really amazing. And to be able to look back at them, like I thought about coming in here with all of my journals and piling them up like Scrooge McDuck, like DuckTales on the floor. Look at all my journals. It's too much work, and I don't want to. And but I'm very grateful. My journals have had spaces of gratitude, spaces of study, sermon notes, both the ones that I've heard and preached, shrine messages, both the ones that I've received from others and that I've received right at my own pot. Um, Pictures, sometimes I draw pictures in them. When I was in training, some of my brothers and sisters in training would make jokes that, oh, there she is with her Bible again. I had one journal from a leather back of a journal from somewhere in college. Maybe I was 19 until just a couple years ago because it was falling apart. It wasn't holding anything in. But I wanted to share that reflection, just that we move so fast every day. Um, we move so fast every day, and because we are encouraged to think that healing is something that we don't have the power to do, that to have a medicine bag it has to be something very far off and so mythical or mystical that you can't put your hands on it, that you have had healing modalities that you've worked with your whole life, whether you name them that or not. But there are things that cause a rhythm in your life or disturb rhythm in your life that you know how to adjust to bring that balance, that equilibrium back. So I wanted to share my journal um, because this is certainly part of my healing. This is how I maintain my balance. It is how I bring my balance back. It's how I center my thoughts. And I'm not always as good in it as I should be. Um, and I say that for me. Like I don't always sit down with my thoughts and go, okay. Sometimes I'm writing down affirmations. Um, so many things. Um, but it's my space. This is my container for myself. I talked um, last week about spirituality and sexuality and being able to create a container spiritually that everyone can pour into in sacred spaces and ritual space. And this is my container. This is what I pour into. And I noticed over the years, like the pink page that I showed you came from a little journal that had a gold locket on the side, and at some point it had keys, and they weren't the most um, Mission Impossible worthy keys. But they turned a little lock and it popped a little clasp and the journal would open. Uh, and so I've had so many different ones over the years. Big ones, little ones. Sorry. All right, big ones, fat ones, short ones, tall. Um, uh, Spill the wine. Dig that girl. Everything comes up all the time. But even songs, they get written in here too. Poems get written in here. For a while, I was picking up journals that were pretty, that looked nice to me, that were unique, that had shapes. I think I have a large butterfly journal that's probably this big. Um, some that have paintings on the outside. But right around the end of my college career was when I started when I found a journal that I could just change the insert in it. And I like them this size because I like being able to stick it in my purse or my bag and walk out. And if something comes to me, to be able to write it down. So I say all of that to say that, again, reminding you to take stock of those things that you do that are healing for you, that help you maintain your balance, that give you a sacred container for yourself, and that they don't have to be. There are things that we use that still are very natural and quote unquote every day that we use in what is considered mystical work. And along with that, there are things that you are doing every day that are part of your routine that help you maintain your rhythm or show you where you need to establish your rhythm. And I'd like you to think about that this week. And I'd like, as you think about it, not to think about it so you can make rigid, I cannot fall away from this practice, but to create, um, to safeguard your practices in a very firmly elastic way, um, like a gentle hug that supports you, that keeps you balanced, that keeps you emotionally and spiritually safe, and to think on those things. Um, if journaling is one of yours, I encourage you to journal. I encourage you to journal today. As soon as I stop talking, you got space, sit down and journal. I'm going to go do that myself. So in any case, this is Reverend Okonkwo, Walimu Yogi, Sister Mama Adia, saying peace. Let's think this week on how we are wonderful beings. All right. Talk to you later.